Hello and welcome to another edition of the One Team We Agree On. I'm Jillian.
I'm Kyle. How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. Been, having some family things
Yes.
going on. And honestly, the Union's win last night was the excitement and distraction that I needed. Because my grandfather passed this morning. So,
Yeah.
Sorry to
um,
hear that.
thank you. But yeah, it was welcome distraction and I was glad of that with the union. So, but yeah, we're doing okay and we gathered today for my sister's baby shower. So, we were
Yeah,
able to enjoy that together too. So, um yeah, as we are saying, well, it's a circle of life, isn't it?
it is. And so our guest tonight is a guy that we have interacted with so much. And uh, a shout out again to Todd Lewis, our good friend. Like, had him on the podcast many years ago. And, you know, Pat Andrews is a union supporter. You might know him as Pat in the Hat on Twitter or on social media, but he he did us a solid on a question that you and Jimmy were going at and back and forth about
Hmm.
union supporter culture, and we just wanted to bring him on this show because it really ties into what we do as a podcast and our site. So, Pat, welcome to the show. This is your first time, and
Yeah,
really happy after 3 seasons. Like season one, we're like, we're gonna get Pat on the show, and it just never
yeah.
happened. Now we're finally having you on. So,
Well,
welcome to the show.
thanks so much for having me. I'm real excited and long time listener, first time in person.
First
We're
time caller.
yeah, first time caller.
So, wait, Pat, what are you wearing
Yeah.
today?
Um,
You got,
nothing union. I got Creature of the Black Lagoon on. I went to the movies
oh, I
before
love that
this.
movie. Yo,
Oh,
Uh
nice.
so that's one of my favorite horror movies. So I know you. I love your horror takes because you
uh,
you go to a lot of independent movies, and um, that's
yeah.
something I appreciate because you'll like give out movie requests. And I'll be like, oh, I've seen that movie. But Creature of Black Lagoon is one of my favorite old school horror movies.
Yeah. I loved it. It was one of my favorite. I like all the Universal monsters and I went to the Borson Old City, which is a fantastic theater to see the Oscar document
Yeah.
Oscar nominated shorts for the documentary. It went on longer than I expected, so I was like, oh, well, I gotta get back.
What's your favorite Universal monster? Because that's a really good question there.
Um, Probably the creature. I don't think the creature gets enough love. I love
Yeah,
creature, but I got a soft spot for Bela Lugosi as Dracula.
I mean that's
Yeah,
iconic. I, I
yeah,
I'm one of those crazy people that also like the Wolfman. I've I've always liked the Wolfman movies,
no,
like not the remakes, so to speak. I don't think they ever did them justice, but
no, they don't have a good remake of a Wolfman, but the original, like there's a handful that are really good, and then you got like Abbott and Costello, which is fantastic.
spot on.
Yeah.
So what are you wearing today?
I am wearing, in honor of Andre Blake having his
Ooh.
300th MLS appearance and him playing really, really well. I'm wearing my Andre Blake keeper kit that I got last year. So it's the gray one.
And I'm wearing the Nevada flag. And
Nice.
I mean, Las Vegas lights are going to kick off.
Battle board. Hey,
Yeah,
hey, fun fact, and I know our friend Todd will appreciate this. Like 2 days ago, the Killers opened up their set in Laughlin
yeah,
with
yeah.
Battleborn. Did you know that?
Yes, I did because I saw the killer set. But anyway,
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, I started out as a Vegas podcast, so this is one of my original shirts that I used to wear on that podcast, and
Ooh.
it's. I mean, I still have a soft spot, and it's Union colors, so I
There you
just
go.
thought to wear some Battleborn today, because
Nice.
Union were Battleborn last night. They
Hmm.
battled and came back, and
Yeah.
we're going to talk about that. So, Jillian, where can people find us at?
All right. Well, first of all, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. We are literally like everywhere at this point. We have our website, theoneteamweagreeon.com, and on socials, you can find us at TOTWAG on Twitter and Blue Sky, and we're on Instagram and Facebook at The One Team We Agree On.
All right, let's get into it. So, Pat, for those that don't know you, tell us
Okay.
about your story. How did you become a Philadelphia Union fan and share some of your favorite memories?
Okay. It goes before the Union were in existence. It just was like I grew up in Bristol, Pennsylvania,
Hmm.
right outside the city. Big fan of soccer and all Philly sports. So like if and like I was watching MLS back then. Like I've been watching MLS for majority of the years they've been on. They're at 30. So like probably at least 20 of those years I've watched MLS. And I remember I got and I told this story on Todd's podcast like 100 million years ago. Um, when I was in like I think like eighth grade, there was an article in the Bucks County Courier Times about potentially a soccer team going to the Philadelphia region, and they were looking at underneath the bridge with the Burlington Bristol Bridge,
Yeah.
and like I was like so hyped up about this because it was an op-ed and they were saying like it should happen, and I was like, what do I do with this like information? I need like I wrote my congressman, it was Congressman Murphy at the time, and like a dozen times I was writing him, and I turned it into like a school assignment of like why this would be good for the area, and going through like if they build the stadium underneath the Burlington Bristol Bridge, there's the access to New Jersey, so Jersey fans could easily get over. You've got a train station that goes to Philly, so people from Philly could come to the games and like run a shuttle that will get you there. Like I was like trying to make this happen, and it didn't. Um, Years later, they announced that the union are happening, and that was my senior year of high school. And I remember skipping class to go to the announcement at Dilworth Plaza,
Yeah.
and like I was so into the union before they existed, and then the the first game was just magical. I remember, or the first home game, even though the first game was like, it was surreal because I did a presentation in like my public speaking class on the Union, and I was wearing the jersey, and it was the first time most people saw the jersey. And like that night, like a bunch of people came over to watch the game in like our common area, and we ordered like 100 pizzas from Domino's. They were doing like $5 for a medium, and we lost, and we didn't play good at all. And we did. There was nothing that was gonna like get people to watch the game further. And then after that game, like five or six of my friends were like, I'm getting tickets for like the home opener in 2 weeks. And it was such a surreal thing because like I'm still friends with all of them and we text each other all the time and we talk about the union. We have a union group chat. So it's like I started this thing with some friends and I went to the first game. It was April 10th. That's my sister's birthday. I was able to go with her and we saw the two get a hat trick. And
Yeah.
it was like it was surreal. Like I mean, the first couple seasons were rough, but it was still great. Like um, I the Open Cup runs stand out. I have a friend who got banned from PPL Park because he threw a cup of water at Kai Kamara. After the game, the game against Kansas City where they eliminated us. Um, and I remember just acting like I didn't know him because that was a terrible thing and a dumb thing to do. Um, but like we were in college and that
Yeah.
he's dancing right in front of us, like egging on the fans, and my friend threw a cup of water at him. He missed, but he got dragged out by Union police, Union like security. That was such a surreal time. And then just being on this like ride, like we won the supporter shield, and that's something that like it felt at certain points in the fandom, it felt like that was never going to happen. Like a trophy was never going to happen.
Right.
After we lost the penalty kick to the one of the Open Cups, I remember sitting in my friend's car and just a shot away came on by I think it was like Rolling Stones, and then we were like, so it was like we're sitting there in dead silence, and we were like, yeah, we were just a shot away, like we could have won this. And I remember like just wanting to like burn my friend's car because like we were just angry, and it's been it's been such a fun ride, like being a Union fan. Like it's like it feels like a true Philadelphia team. Like they are the habitual underdogs. They always kind of overproduce most of the time. Sometimes they just don't. Um,
Yeah.
uh, they they have a lot of silliness to them. Like we've had like the Candy Gate with like Keon Daniel, like people missing the flight to get candy. Like, and we habitually have people like we can't get visas sorted out, and it's always something. It's something that like will make it unnecessarily hard on you, and like that's like part of being a Philly sports fan. Outside of like the Eagles winning 2 Super Bowls, but like
Mhm.
we've ever nothing is easy. Like my grandma told me after the Sixers lost the 2001
Mhm.
she's like being a Philadelphia sports fan isn't about winning. It's the labor of love, and you're never gonna be. She was a big basketball fan, so she was like
Mhm.
very upset at him. So like that was the expectation of the Union to always be that. And then when we started winning games and we started like having this culture shift, and Jim Curtin was like a big part of it, it was surreal. And like I love the Union, I love Union fans, and I get it. Like even at its worst, and when I'm complaining about the roster and like
Yeah.
everyone, I'm still super excited and very thankful that like it's not lost on me that I'm lucky to go to games. I'm lucky that I've missed a handful of games. I'm lucky that the team is here because like it wasn't always here. Like there's a time when we did not have a team, and
Mhm.
so like I just love this team, and I love like just being able to go to games and watch games. Like last night was surreal and it was awesome.
No, I love that. And that's such a cool story of, how your fandom began. And no, and I hear you. Being a Philly fan is not always easy, but I'll tell you what, um, when you do get those
Yeah.
highs, I mean, they're super highs. I mean, I was basically the first one of my early memories was Joe Carter in the Phillies, 93 World Series. And
Oh,
just,
nice.
I started really following the Phillies like probably that season because I was little. And just having like my heart ripped out. And that was my first
Yeah.
taste of what it was like.
I
Yeah.
mean, to your point, I
Yeah.
mean, that whole run with that team
Mhm.
in 94, I mean,
Yeah.
my dad would let me stay up and watch those games because
Nice.
I grew up in York. So we go to the Phillies, we go to the Orioles, back and forth. We
Right.
never had a team. We always joke one team we grew on. I'm all over the map, as I've said.
Yes, as
Yeah.
big as
Uh,
the
yeah.
The Dolphins.
Yeah,
yes.
yes. But having said that, like that year we would go to games and even when I was in college in Westchester, I would go down to Phillies games. It was a good time with my friends. They were all from Philly, so we'd go down, hang out. And so there was always a soft spot in my heart for Philly.
And you
Now,
got to enjoy vicariously through me the whole Eagles run this
I
year.
did.
Yeah.
I did and that was a cool moment. I
Yeah.
like Dolphins need to do better.
Yeah.
I will say
Yeah.
that 100%. But
Yeah, then you'll get to maybe duct tape another year on your banner.
yeah, that's not ever
Yeah.
happening with this current administration. Maybe more the Timberwolves, the
Timberwolves, they're
worst
doing better than the
franchise
Sixers
in
are.
NBA history.
Yeah.
Sixers are
But I mean,
buns.
they got
All right.
Anthony Edwards, so
Yeah.
go Ant. But having said that, no, I think you hit the nail on the head, Pat. Like this Philadelphia team, if you love the Union, you're bought in. It's a family, and
Yeah.
it's just like
Yeah.
even calling balls and strikes like we do now, like there's still that expectation of we want this club to succeed because if this club can succeed, it's going to be a really great time because think about this, it's the number 4 media market in the country.
Yeah.
You have so many support groups in that city. You have support groups in Bucks County, Lancaster County,
Yeah.
all over, even York County. This can work. It's just more of I'm gonna say it. You got to do more to reach out.
Yeah, and
I
Me
that's
too.
mean,
I have a
yeah.
lot of thoughts on that.
I know we all do. We all do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I, I, I just think that there's a lot of Philly soccer culture from back in the NASL with the Adams.
Yeah.
I mean, we were at the Soccer Hall of Fame for the MLS Next Pro Cup, and she got to see the Adams jersey. She got to see it
Yeah.
That's
first,
awesome.
Yeah,
and like,
the Soccer Hall of Fame is something to see if you're ever out there. It's
but
pretty cool.
like,
Yeah, it's a bucket list.
yeah, it really is. It's like literally like a 3 hour tour, but it's a good time, and also just the soccer culture in the city. Like you look at all the great players that have
Yeah.
come out of this area.
Well, I think too, like you look at how people turn out for when like Premier League teams come and
Yeah,
play,
Yeah.
or all the people that came to see Wrexham, for instance. And some of these people are just like they watched the show and they were curious, but like,
Yeah.
I think there's so many more people that could be brought into this. The union need to keep spreading the word. And honestly, the easiest way to advertise it is to have a good team and win.
Yes.
They were on the cusp of
Winning.
that.
Yeah.
They
yeah.
were so, yeah.
Winning solves all the problems. However, my favorite thing was like a couple people were like, "Wait a minute, this isn't the Union." We thought it was going to be the
Oh man.
Union team, and we're like, "No, they're
No,
on international break." Or
we're
Yeah.
too good for this.
yeah, like, and you're gonna get the second team, and they're like, "Well, we were told it was the Union." I'm like, "No, it says Union too."
Yeah.
Yeah, but still, that was a super fun night. But
With
you
the
know,
rain? Oh my gosh,
oh
it's
yeah, and
great.
then once like a lot of the people that were just pretty casual left, and like all the sickos were still left there, we were all like
Yeah.
having a good time in the river end.
Yeah,
But
that was a
no,
good time.
yeah, no, there's a lot of room for getting more people involved, and that's what we try to do. We try to spread the word,
Yeah.
not just yeah, we go over the news and spread the
Yeah.
facts and figures, but it's more than just that. I mean, soccer is such a huge
Yeah.
part of culture. Like there's such a culture with it. And you see that in Europe and you see that in Latin America and everything. And so, yeah, we're trying to just spread the word.
And
Yeah.
I mean, like, I think Wrexham is a testament to storytelling. Like
Yes.
Yes.
The Union have just as good a story as Wrexham, and like I get they got like a
Bingo.
million years. Yeah. So once the Union start tapping into good storytelling, I think that you're gonna see some more fringe people join that would have never like I sell my one friend. I'm gonna say this real quick just because it annoys me and I'm gonna make him listen to this. He's like when MLS said they were having a Philadelphia team, he said I'm never gonna support them because I'm Arsenal through and through. And like over the years, I've dragged him to games, and like once he started putting that like Brendan Aronson is a local boy, and all these guys are local, and then you see like Andre Blake make an amazing save, and you're hooked. And now
Mhm.
he's a fan. Not as big as like a lot of people, but like he'll watch the games. He has the Apple deal, so yeah, storytelling goes a long way, and like you said, winning.
Yeah.
It does. So, Pat, you recently did some
Yeah,
research about union merchandise in the city of Philadelphia. And this is where this
yeah.
podcast comes to full circle. You know, you shared your graph, Google graph, and by the way,
Yeah.
I like it. It's clean. Um,
Kyle loves data,
yes,
as
yeah,
Same.
we all
people
know
know.
like
So,
Todd and I are tracking drop points this year. Drop points and points gained. That's our
Good. I
mission this
love
year.
that.
Yeah, yeah. From last year, the 27 points dropped or whatever it was, like, yeah. But anyway, I just want to know your research. Like that
Yeah.
conversation, that was just a fun conversation. You're like, hey, I'm gonna go look at this. Like, talk about your mindset. Like, how did
Oh,
this whole research go about?
I mean, like it's been said on social media a number of times, and then
Yeah.
you guys pushed me into the direction where I like because it's always people always like when I see someone in Union gear, I like say hi and like
mhm.
Yes.
it gets tweeted. They'll be like, I saw someone wearing a Union jersey at like the Phillies game, and I'm like,
Mhm.
Yes.
and like it happens, and like we all notice it. Like we all
Yeah.
make a point to notice it, and like um I was doing for the rail park. They were asked locals to go and observe and just write down what people are doing. And then one day I'm on like Twitter because no one was at the rail park. I'm sitting there by myself, and I you guys are talking about like union merch. I'm like I'm gonna do the same thing at all the other like more touristy locations where I go. Like I spend a
Yeah.
lot of time like the four squares or the five squares because Dilworth is part of it. They make up like Philadelphia. That's like the original plan was to have the squares, and that's where like in case there was a fire, we go there. That was our green spaces. That was the perimeter of the city
Yeah. Right.
when it was founded. So I found that as like a good starting place to make observations. I had a Reading Terminal because I go there a lot. I live close.
Hmm.
I sit in Reading Terminal and just people watch all the time. So it was like if I'm already here, I might as well just continue to study. And then I added Ekins Oval because I was at the Super Bowl parade. I did see Kenny Gainwell, and I thought that was funny.
Yes. And by the way, he posted on his Instagram story last night too, like the Union win or
Yeah,
whatever. So I was like,
I love
yes,
that.
Kenny. Kyle loves Kenny Gainwell. I mean,
Yeah,
we
that
both
was
do.
who I wanted the Dolphins to draft in the second round that year.
Oh,
That
nice.
the Eagles took him. Like I was like, come on, get Gainwell, and then we
Yeah,
took somebody that's not even on the roster anymore.
yeah.
So
That's like
anyway,
a problem with the that's a problem with the Dolphins.
yes, it
Uh,
is. It that's another that is another time
another,
for yeah.
yeah,
Anyway, but no, like so Mike Barrera, you and I went in during to Union Terminal. I love
To
Union
Reading
Terminal.
Terminal.
Yeah,
Reading
Reading
Terminal.
Terminal.
Oh.
Like we went in there and during the Super Bowl parade, it was packed.
yes,
like
Oh yeah.
like that's cool though. Like we love the terminal. Man, there's so
yeah.
many good places there.
Mhm.
So yeah, like what did you see though overall? Like
I mean, like it started off first with Washington Square because I do
yeah.
like I have like a side job where I do ghost tours there,
Okay.
and it was like around October, so like I'm there more, and it just casually I remember like it would be like an away game would be later, and I would see people with Union gear on, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna like start marking this down, and I found that to be like super cool. And then I noticed that it was never like the same person. I mean, like I would just go, go up and go Union, and then that would be my intro into like having a conversation with them. Sometimes we have conversations, sometimes we don't. Sometimes they didn't even know what the Union were. It would be like, oh, like my roommate, this is my roommate shirt or my boyfriend shirt or my girlfriend shirt, and then or like my dad got this
Mhm.
for me. So like there was like a lot of good conversation around that, and I'll get into that later. But like from the data standpoint, it was I'm going to try to spend equal amount of time at places, and then I'm going to make these observations. I'm going to mark down what, and I'm finding out like like around I marked it in there like the Dilworth saw, and like I'm doing more research to see if it was, but like they had Christmas Village, and there was a lot of Union scarves, and like as a Union fan who was also wearing a Union scarf or a Sons of Ben scarf, um, so cool to see. Like people were just casually wearing the Union gear. Like I think scarves were the number one merch I saw.
Yep.
Um, I mean it was I did this throughout the winter, the off season. So
Mhm.
scarves, hats, a few jackets, and like
Hmm.
there was always someone who was like wearing too much Union gear, and I had to wonder if they worked for the team.
Yeah.
I like that happened to me once. I forget where. I think it might have been at Rittenhouse where I was like, "Go Union," and they were just like, "Oh, yeah, like I work there. Like I'm like in the front office," and then he just like walked off. And which I thought was also really cool. But they were like, "Yeah, I get all this like this like big puffer jacket for free and the
Yep.
scarves for free." So and then I just had to like pay attention. Like maybe I'm gonna run into like Jim Curtin. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm gonna run into like someone who,
Yeah, before Jim moved out of the city. Yeah,
yeah,
that might have happened for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
no.
Because like years ago I ran into a bunch of union players and they were all
Hmm.
wearing union gear like it was like a casual bye week and they were out and about, so I think it was like cool. So I was trying to like recognize what people were wearing because and I think it made the most sense. Scarves are going to be the number one for the winter.
Hmm.
um they have a good market on the scarf like game.
Yeah.
um like the Sixers, like, people aren't wearing Sixers scarves, people will wear Eagle scarves,
Hmm.
but that's about like it for the and like I went, but like the union, I want to say like they introduced that to the city fashion, and like also we know our merch is great, so like it looks good. We
Yeah.
sign up, so we have all these deals with like we've had Mitchell and Ness, we had Lapstone and Hammer, we had Peace Collective, and
Yeah.
so like you get these good designers. So some people just had them because it looked really cool. I did have someone had the Lapstone and Hammer like jacket, and I was talking to them, and they're like, I didn't know the union before that, but I love this jacket. So like they went out and bought it, not knowing the team for the price point was wild to me because like some of this stuff was very expensive.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, absolutely. No, they
that
they have some great merch.
yeah, like the data collecting and the kind of like observations was like great. It was a lot of fun, and I'm doing it now. This the first 3 months of the season just to see like if we taper off or if there's more because like I did this in the off season intentionally because it's like the only in my head it was the only people that were really gonna wear this are Union fans
Hmm.
Right.
because now that the season's up, you might get some more casual fans or people
Hmm.
that and then also now I'm opening the book to people that are going to the game, which I think will be fascinating to see. Like if I'm in the morning at like Reading Terminal and I see a group of people wearing Union stuff, it's not out of this world that they're taking the train into the game or so I because like I do the same thing. So I think
Yeah.
that's all going to be fun observations and more data collecting because I mean we're a sports centric city and I want to see our standing in it. How far are we from other ones, other teams?
Yeah, no, like every time we stop at Wawa, either before or after games, oh, we're always running into Union fans in there, like people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and doesn't matter if we're at one, like, whatever end of Route 1 we're on, it's like,
Yeah.
even closer to, our end of things. So,
What interests me is so with my position as the director of community health at the YMCA, I travel all over Lancaster, New York, and every time I'll see a union like kit or like a shirt, I'll just go, "What's a union kit doing out here in Adams County?" Like that is the most random thing. Like, are you a DC fan? Like, no, I think it brings this is like something that I've wondered for a couple years because even like a couple of staff people now at my YMCA, I'll see them walking around with union kits and they're like, "Hey, you're the union guy, right?" I'm like, "The
Nice.
union guy?" I'm like, "That's my name." No, it's Kyle. But no, beyond that, they'll be like, we know about you, we know about everything, and I've been a Union fan since 2000, whatever, and
Yeah.
they will share their stories. So I segue that and say, like, what are some of the stories that really have stood out to you during your conversations with these people?
There's a lot, but I want to tie one work story in because you shared that. I work with the Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah,
So like seeing that, I do like, oh, what's a Union jersey? That's great to see, or whatever. There was one day I was wearing a Union jersey and a jacket because I was going to a game right after work, and a
yeah,
kid come up to me and goes, "What'd you try out and fail?" So you at least get like the union guy. That's such a nice thing. I'm like, they're like, oh, what did you do? You went out for this team and failed, and they gave you a shirt. It's like, all right, man, be nice about it. Um, but some of the stories were great. My favorite, I was starting with my favorite was it was right before Ghost. It was right after the Eagles, the snow game, the Eagles Rams snow game.
Mhm.
I'm doing a ghost tour in a blizzard, and one guy comes up and he's wearing like I thought at one point I was like when he walked up and he's wearing a Union jacket, hat, and scarf. I'm like, did I die?
yeah,
Like what's going on here? And he's from Finland and he's just like
Hmm.
this is like nice weather. Like he like didn't phase him at all. Like I can't see, I can't feel any of my extremities. And like I go on, I do the tour professionally, and then at the end, I ask him like, why do you have so much Union gear? And he's like, well, I really like soccer. And he's like, I was in town. He's been in town for work. Um, he came at the end of the season, and he's like, you guys are a very angry fan base. And he's like, I like that. I like that. He's like, you guys are not doing good in the table, and you should be angry. And that's why he bought Union stuff. And he's like, I'm gonna follow you guys now.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Um,
no, no, that is.
Ah, no,
yeah,
that's epic.
Shout, shout that guy, but
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah,
From like it was such a surreal one.
yeah,
In Washington Square, I met a lady and she was confused at who the Union were. She was like, "Oh, like I keep forgetting." She was like, I didn't know. And then she was like, I did go to a game, and it was many years ago. It was the Carlos Ruiz volley game in the ring.
Oh,
Mhm.
And she was like, that's why I bought a shirt. And she's like, I haven't really watched the team then. And I was like, look, next season, watch a game. I thought that was like a fun because like I remember that volley like in slow motion. Like that's one of my favorite goals. So that was cool. I've talked to a lot of people that are like they went to a game 5 years ago and like one player just stood out. It was like maybe it was like Bedoya. There were I feel like
yeah,
three people mentioned Bedoya when he made the stance against gun violence. They were like, "Oh, like I live in Philadelphia. I knew the union existed. This guy is saying something that I believe in. Let me
yeah,
follow them around." And then they go to a game and we were winning. And they were like, "I need to buy all the merch and I need to keep going." And so like it was so cool seeing that. I met a family that were wearing union hats in I want to say it was Rittenhouse, and they became fans because we played Club America and they were Chivas. They're from Mexico.
yeah.
And they were like, we hate Chivas, so we wanted to go watch them lose. You didn't lose. America won, but you guys played a good game. And they're like, and they're like, our kids kept watching the team, so they want to be fans. And I was like, we'll get them that. And I love hearing these stories where people are like, I only go to like 2 games a year, but they are the best two like games or like the best 2 days of like my summer. The one guy, he was sitting on the bench in Washington Square, and he was wearing like the old school rattle
Yeah.
Mhm.
scarf, the one of the worst design. And like what we're talking about that, and he's like, "Well, this was my son's. My son moved away, but he's like, I still find myself watching to the games." And I was like, "Oh, that's great." And he's like, "Yeah," he's like, "There's something about the team that keeps bringing me back to." He's like, I don't like going to Chester. He's like, I'm old. I don't even like driving at night. But he's like, I try to go to like 2 games a year, and he takes his wife or he goes with a friend, and it was like so heartwarming to hear like these stories because like the team means a lot to people, and I don't think the team understands its impact it has on like people's lives. Like these are most of these people are casual fans. They aren't like
Right.
us who are ravenous,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
like there's such deep memories. Oh, did I lose
We just
video?
lost your video,
Yeah,
yeah.
we
I don't know what's going on. I didn't hit anything. Oh man. Well, if it comes back, it comes back. We'll see. Um,
it's all
my
good.
my my favorite stories are the ones where like people get like the personal, and then there's the ones that are like, well, look, like my boyfriend plays FIFA a lot, and he's a Phillies fan. So like I thought like that. She goes. So I thought it'd be a good idea to buy him tickets to a game. And then she's like, we broke up before, so like I went with my friend, and now we're Blake fans. Like,
Mhm.
and then anytime someone had like, I guess like the the international connection, I did meet a few people who were Jamaican, and they were like, Andre Blake is the
Yep.
greatest. The one lady had a Corey Burke jersey. I thought that was also really cool. She was like, no, we
Yep.
support all our Jamaicans. Um, there was a lady from Colombia, or she grew up in Colombia. She moved to Philly to go to UPenn, and that's when we had Roger Torres and Carlos Valdez.
Yep.
And so she's like, they got me into the league or into the team, and now I'm still here going because that. So like the stories were great. And I always would start off with like just saying like go Union, and then if like someone stops, I was like, I got him. Like we're gonna have a little conversation. I would always also ask like when was the last time you've been to a game, or do you like going to the games? And um a lot of people, like some of them were like way back when, but most people were like, oh, I went like this season. They're like, I'm only going to one game this year, but I'll try to get to the Red Bull game. Like, and I think that is cool that we have established ourselves like that there's something that is like must watch or like must be in attendance for. So they're like, we're gonna go to when you play Red Bull, or we're gonna go when we're gonna play NYCFC. I didn't get many. I was expecting a lot of Miami answers, and I did not get any. Like,
Hmm.
which was like fascinating. Going into this, I was like, there's gonna be people that are like, I'm from Philly, and but I went to go see Messi, and I bought like a hat. I didn't get that, so
No, I think the Messi fans are taking Miami. I mean, we have a
yeah,
couple kids on our swim club that love Messi, and
Then they show up at swim practice wearing a messy kit.
we're like,
uh,
oh, wait a minute, you're from Pennsylvania. Yes, there's a club here. Yes, but I love Messi. It doesn't matter. You need to support your local club. Please support your local
It's
club.
okay. You can still like Messi, but
Support your local club.
speaking of
You
Messi,
guys, anyway, yeah.
yeah, he was acting like a little, you know what?
Well, I mean, I get the call, but yeah, like,
Yeah.
mm,
Anyway, but we're not here to talk about
yeah,
him.
we're not going to.
Um, yeah, but no, that's fascinating to hear about, all those stories. And yeah, anytime I'm out, like we've been out and about in Lancaster and, sitting at, say a bar there in Lancaster and we see walking down the street people and we see someone heading in wearing a union kit, we're like, oh, hey, so we're gonna talk to them.
yeah,
No, I think it's always a fascinating conversation because people come from all different walks of life.
Hmm.
And like you said, Pat, early on, I think this is an area that the club needs to delve into more
yeah,
because the people that are there come from Emma, the big four in Philly.
Yeah.
yeah,
So they're like, hey, yeah, we were the big four. We're going to try to do that. Well, you need to buy into the culture. It's a family culture. Soccer is a culture sport. Like, delve into it more, people. Like,
Yeah.
we've said this many
We've said it
times.
so many times, like once you
We've
get to a
said this to
game,
people in the front
good
office.
tailgate, and people can totally buy in. That's how we got into it. But
Yeah, anyway, let's
yeah,
talk about
some recent news.
yeah, we're gonna talk about some
Yeah.
news. We're gonna we'll bring up Indy in a bit, but um let's talk about the match.
All right.
Um
yes,
so Union win
Who saw that
4-2,
coming?
4-2. Gazdag, Ua, Baruba had a brace. The front three since September were quiet. They erupt. We've seen this
Mhm.
before, but it was promising.
Yeah, the
First
Union go down
win,
early and battle
first
back.
first win in July since 2022.
Wait, first one in July.
First win in Orlando since July
Okay, gotcha.
2022.
yeah,
Sorry. Um, First Philadelphia Union starts for Makanya, Westfield, and Lukic, and also 300th career start for Andre Blake. What we said. So first off, what did everybody think of the three players that got their first starts for Union? Jillian, I'm gonna go first, and then Pat, we're gonna come to you.
All
yeah,
right. So,
great.
it's funny because I was coming back from the hospice and um I need to stop at the grocery store and
Yeah.
I'm sitting in the parking lot there and I'm like, where's the lineup? Where's the lineup? And I'm like on my phone, like refresh, refresh, refresh. Like I just kept pulling on the
Yes, you
on
did.
the Twitter thing. I'm like waiting in the car there. I'm like, come on, come on. And they were late putting it out. But anyway, then finally comes up. I'm like, oh, okay. So, um, I was really thrilled for Frankie, first of all, because we watched him so much in Union too.
Yes.
He has really just been a cool story to follow, and props to him for just working his butt off and getting to where he is. So, that shows that Bradley Carnell had a lot of faith in him. Um, going with him over Bizo. I mean, maybe Bizo wasn't 100%, still coming
Well,
back
he
from
still
injury.
has that
Yeah,
knee.
so he's, so hey, that makes sense. And then Mikanya, also I was like, okay, well, we've been waiting on we've been waiting on that Gambit meme there with
Oh, gosh.
Ooh,
I'm
I'm
going
gonna
there.
make a name for myself.
He did make a name for
Yeah,
himself
well,
last night.
and
Not in a good way.
well, yeah, Mikanya. So, on one hand, listen, you don't even know what you have in him until you see him get a
Exactly.
shot first team, which he's been waiting since
Yeah.
2023 when he was signed and spent all that time with Union too. And we saw him be like decent, him and Neil Pierre in the back there. We also saw him make some blunders and,
He
get that
did that
stupid
again
red
last
red
night.
card, in the next Pro Cup. And then he made a blunder, last night. Overall, aside from that blunder, which man, like he messes up and then Andre like shoves him basically. He's
And
like,
then he points back at Andre. It's like, and Jimmy King pointed this out well. It's a learning experience from
mhm,
Kanye. Like,
yeah,
you're gonna point at him and like blame Andre? Come on, Andre's
yeah,
been through
yeah,
like battles you've never been through. Now,
yeah.
having said that, I thought he was fine on the night.
Yeah, he did pretty good. I
He
thought
did serviceable.
he did make some really nice plays too.
Yes, he
Um,
did.
so I think, he definitely he has some room to improve, but it was at least good to see what he's got. And I'm guessing, of course, Jan Glavinovic maybe just wasn't 100% to go there, but he did come in then, which was good
And we'll
because
find
Parnell
out
said
more.
that Frankie was running out of gas, but
Yeah.
and Lukic I thought was really, really good on the night.
And you talked to Carl
Yeah,
about
so I
that.
asked Carnell in the press conference about what he thought of his performance, and he really had a lot of great comments to say. He first of all said that
He's a
Lukic
good
is a
dude.
great. He said he's a good dude. Yeah, like
Which is
he's a good
great to
person.
hear from a
Yeah,
coach.
yeah,
I
no,
love
like
that.
yeah, he seems like. I mean, honestly, like we haven't gotten to meet him in person yet, but like
No.
he does seem like it. Like he has come in, in the middle of preseason and fit right in. He seems to have really just fit in perfectly with there, and I'm excited. And as Carnell noted about this, him pairing up with Danley, and then also, Bueno is, it's no knock on Bueno. He just, was not in the game there, but Bueno's been doing good. So I think it's
But
gonna be
Jim
good.
said the same thing.
It's gonna be interesting to see, that dynamic there.
And that's the only reason I bring that up. When I heard that, I'm like, but Jim said the same thing. So, and that every time Bueno appears out of nowhere, he contributes. So,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe, I mean, I'm not going to question a coach being coaches themselves, but like, it's like, okay, what's really going on behind the scenes?
But yeah,
Every
that
time I've
yeah.
seen Bueno, he's looked great in
Yeah.
training.
Well, when I saw that lineup, it was like that. It was like from Dodgeball. That's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see if it pays
Yeah.
off. And you know, and especially having in the back there having Frankie and Makanya, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, let's see what the kids got. And
It
Carnell
paid
said,
off.
last year doesn't matter. It's what they've been doing now.
And that's the right mentality.
Yeah.
And so, Pat, what'd you think on the first
The
times three?
debutantes.
Yeah,
Yeah, Makanya, like you said, like that blunder is unfortunately what will get like all
yeah,
the headline, and rightfully so. I think
right.
that he has a lot of room for improvement, but he was not the worst.
Hmm.
Like it could have been so much worse, and he kind of
Like
met
Schlegel.
expectations. Yeah, like
I mean,
Yeah.
like it. I'm happy for him. I hope that his confidence gets growing. Blake is such a leader that I know that he will like he didn't shove him to humiliate him.
No.
There's going to be a conversation afterwards, and there will be growth. Whether or
right.
not whether or not we see it right away or not, whether or not we see him anytime soon, because like I think he this isn't like a normal thing. He's not going to be starting. Hopefully he gets a little bit better because we need another center back. Like we need someone like
Hmm.
Yes.
I, he did just enough to have me not panic that we don't have a fourth center back. And
Right.
because like I am borderline panicking that we don't have a fourth center back.
No,
Um,
that's a fair point. That's a fair point because the only weakness I see on this team right now is the center back position.
I mean, Neil Pierre, I think, is
I think
legit.
Neil's fine, and I think you could bring up there's a couple other kids, but at some point it may not be this. And Pat, I'm sorry to cut you off there,
no,
but
no.
um, I think at the other spot, like we could use like either a really cheap veteran guy that could get us through a couple games, just be like coming off. like a oh, what's his name? He's now the coach of Houston. Was in the 2021 um Eastern Conference
But
Final.
Aurelian Colin?
Yeah, like we need
Yeah,
like a
like when we
Colin.
signed the Colin, yeah.
Yeah, like
Yes.
somebody like that that is just a vet, had some good moments in the league, and can just be that backup if everything you need hit the panic button.
Agreed. I agree on that.
But
Um,
anyway, what are your other thoughts? Again, sorry to cut you off there.
yeah, no, that's fine because I agree with everything you said. It is a dire need, and we'll see what happens. Lukic, am I saying it right?
Yeah,
Lukic,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, Lukic.
It's
Um,
Jovan. Like I
Jovan,
always love how like it's like Ian, it's Jan, and I'm like
Jan. Like,
Jan,
yeah.
Jovan, and he's like Yvonne. I'm like, oh
Jovan,
Jovan.
yeah.
Yeah.
Jovan Lukic. I loved everything I saw from him. It was kind of like as advertised. Like I remember when we signed, they're like, "You guys are gonna like him. You're gonna like his work rate. You're gonna see what." And I think obviously best is yet to come from
Yes.
him. As he gets settled more. I think him and Danley are gonna like work well together. They'll figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope Bueno gets time in this rotation because every time he plays, something good happens. Um, it's gonna be interesting because I was like really trying to like hone in on him like when I was watching like extended highlights and stuff. And
Yeah.
his movement was fine. He wasn't caught too out of. There was like maybe one or two times he was caught out of place. Like I get nervous when you see like we have sustained pressure and against us and we don't have Martinez. Like it's like I'm still in this like we don't have Martinez who I know will win the ball, who I know will be a very physical threat force that will like if things aren't going our way, he can turn the tide. I still don't know if we have that like bully. And I don't think Jovan's gonna be that guy, but what I saw was great, and I hope that the two really gel together. And as they play more games, theoretically it will. So like you have to be optimistic about that, like from that forming, because we saw a lot of good too. Like and then Westfield was the star of the night for me. Like this should be the number one story in Philadelphia right now. Um,
Yes.
Yeah.
Local kid comes up. He's been with the team what since he was 9?
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
if this is why we're fans. Like
Yes.
this is why
Local
we're fans.
l- I can see it now. Call in was it WIP? What's the number?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, anyway, call in. Is Frankie Westfield, North Philly native, the best player in Philadelphia? Call in
Yeah.
now with your
No,
thoughts.
this is
Yeah.
what, no, and we had him on our pod, and I'm gonna plug the pod.
Oh, oh
But no,
gosh.
like it
What
was just
now?
cool to hear his story and how he's come up, and he's really been fun to see like that progression. And
Yeah.
he brings great energy. He is Northeast Philly like through and through, and that's why like in my article it's like Northeast Philly zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's great. Like I think it was last year when Marlon LeBlanc was on the dupe and he was getting asked some fun questions um and Sage asked Marlon like, on the team, who would survive the zombie apocalypse? And Marlon like right away is like Frankie. He's like
No,
Frankie. He's like
Frankie
yeah.
would. I mean, Frankie does have, I think fans are gonna love Frankie.
Hmm.
Now it was reported that he is an off contract, off roster homegrown.
Right.
Him and Eddie. I
Hmm.
mean, Jonathan broke that last night.
Hmm.
That's how the union roster is compliant. Having said that, I think the best days for Frankie are to come. And again, this is why we cover these stories,
Hmm.
and this is why we do what we do with the second team, because there are stories there
Yeah.
of players that people don't even know, like Sal, like
Yeah.
good and bad, like Sal Levis. Who
Yeah,
saw that coming?
yeah, and
And even
props to
us,
Sal for getting that contract because
yeah.
that's another bit of
But
news this
even
week.
like I was down at YouTube practice, and Sal was like, "Hey," I'm like, "Hey." And then like I get in my car, I'm like, oh, he just signed homegrown. Like,
Hey,
Congratulations.
came out that day.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. But no, that was a cool moment because I'm like, hey Sal, how you doing? He's like, I'm doing good. I'm like, good to see you. And I'm like, well, now I know why you're doing good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's a nice kid. I'm
He
excited to
is a
see what
nice
the
kid.
future holds for him.
Yeah.
So,
So anyway, what did you think, Pat, of the pressing? Like, this is a whole new style of play, but it's energy drink soccer at the end of the day. I
Yeah,
mean, Curtin adopted some of it, went away, but what'd you think of the iteration we saw last night?
I mean, you have to love it because we won in such an emphatic way. So it's
Yes.
like, yeah, if we're gonna do that every time, yeah, sign me up. I want 100 of it. Like, I mean, is it sustainable? I don't know. Like,
Eh,
did we give up like at portions like a good chunk of the midfield? Yeah, and but we're
yeah.
the Union. We do that. Like,
mhm.
we have that's why you have Andre Blake in the net. Because teams will get shots off and he will stop them. Um, I think it's like you're very you got to be optimistic. I mean, but it's also the first game, so that
Yes.
means that like this the sample size says that it's going to be great and all things will be great, but like it's such a small sample size that we need more of it, and that's what makes Cincinnati so awesome. Like like the energy from the fans is going to be great because we're going to have a blast on Saturday.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and we'll get to that in a bit, but yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, to go out on opening night on the road, and the Orlando fans hyped for
Which
that and
again, they
everything.
haven't won since 2022. Again, small sample
So,
size.
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, for the Union to go there and after going down one goal, they battled back and they quiet that crowd. You could hear a pin drop in there. And that
After the Brebo goal made
yeah.
4-1, like the fans were walking out of the stadium.
Yeah, I
And I'm
mean,
like, really? It's the fourth minute? Like, have you not watched the Montreal game from last year with the defense? Like, things could go south real quick.
oh, and
And then
yeah.
that goal on the 78th minute, we're like, ooh.
You know what I was feeling? I was feeling like, during the Super Bowl, how like, hey, the Eagles were, you know, they were doing really well and they were up, and I'm still like nervous because I'm like, but there's still
yeah,
time they could come back and it's
Yeah, I
Mahomes and blah blah
mean,
blah. So that's kind of how I felt too. I'm like, I'm enjoying this. This is great. Wow, like the Union are doing great. But at the same time, I'm like, don't blow it.
I was talking to a couple fans. I'm like, buckle, squeak, hold on to your
Hold
butt
on to your
cheek.
butts.
Yeah, hold on to your butts. And they were
Jurassic
like,
Park.
Yup.
and they were like, I think we got this. And then when that goal came in, they're all like, set that back. And then they're like, actually, that was the easiest last like 14 minutes we've seen in the
Hmm.
last
Although
year.
that stoppage time felt like an eternity. I'm like,
Yeah,
come on.
but
Oh
like,
yeah, it took years off my life.
well, having said that, like, yeah, Orlando and Blake, if he stays healthy this year, they'll be fine. But that's the big thing, Pat. Like, if he can stay healthy, the big thing I took away with it is the Union are going to be able to score.
Yeah.
And then when the subs came on defensively, I felt that there's still room for improvement
Yeah,
defensively, but they did a good job. So,
Yeah.
what were your biggest concerns and your biggest positives from the game? Because we were
yeah.
talking about this yesterday. So,
Concerns. I mean, um, and depth will be center back depth. Is my
yeah,
biggest concern, and it's going to be until either I see McConaughey like have like a complete ball hawk game,
yeah,
or like so outside of center back depth, the concerns like the team gelling together and being this cohesive monster that we know they can be. We did play Orlando; they are a all right team, but like, how are we going to fare when we face like much more rigorous competition? And like I love Baribo. He scored 2 goals, and that was a big positive. But teams are going to start focusing on him more,
hmm
and like who's going to step up? I mean, like we have Bruno, so that could be something. But like we're gonna need we are gonna start being targeted more as an offensive team. Teams will play us differently, and if we continue to have success, and like how are we gonna like mature that? And like I will say, like we're going to give up a lot of possession at times, and there are going to be teams that are going to pass around us and create chances. And like our whether it's Frankie Westfield, whether it's Nate Harriel, Mbizo, Kai Wagner, they all get out of position and exposed at times. So it's like we need to really. I want like a defensive lockdown so we could just be more free willing in attack. We'll see what happens. Like, and then my positives was Quinn Sullivan's pass was like that's a
Yeah.
work of art.
Oh my gosh.
I
I
mean,
know he go.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I know he has it in him, and we're gonna see it more frequently this year. He works incredibly hard,
Yep.
so I love that. Frankie Westfield's a big
Mhm.
positive just for like all the things that we said. I'm just so happy for him and getting the assist. Like
Mhm.
if we could get production from both left and right side on the defense, like queuing up assists, like we know Kai Wagner is going to get a handful of assists. He might lead the league in assists the way this
Right.
team showed. So if we could have some more parity on both sides, like we're just going to be dangerous. Um, that the positives definitely outweigh all the negatives are, can we sustain this and can we remain healthy? Like if Blake's healthy all season, then we are in contention to win every game.
Yeah, and
Yeah, and they go down early and we're like, "Oh boy, here we go." But
buckle up.
but what was great to see was okay, while they looked like they were a little lost the first, bit there, they regrouped, they got it together, and then the goals started coming and that was great to see. I mean, because we saw the Union concede first a lot last
Yes.
Yeah.
and
And then they bow back and maybe
yeah.
they get a lead, maybe they draw.
Mhm.
But go ahead.
But yeah, I mean, that was gritty. Like they battled back, they got it together, and then they started kind of doing a little BTA, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bell Sass. Sorry, apologize. Having said that, like Todd brought up on the podcast with Mike, Jose, Dave, and us last
hmm
night on the post match, the goal, and Pal talked to you about this. The goal
Mhm.
Lewis scores, that's Jao Klaus,
Yeah.
2023 with Orlando City. That press, Lewis sees that ball and he just one times it right in the back of the net, and you're like, okay, Mikel. And that's what
Yeah.
we love Mikel for that,
Uh-huh.
because he's that kind of striker. Like he will make you pay. The other thing is, I mean, you scored 4 goals on 10 shots. That's impressive. Now you can say Orlando City had, what was it? All 4 of their shots on target were goals
Oh,
last night.
yeah.
Orlando City had 23 shots, 10 were on target. So that's a credit to Andre Blake. So,
Yeah.
Pat, 300 career start for Andre Blake. What'd you think of him last night? And what's a healthy Blake do going forward?
I mean, well, hopefully we get to 365, so that's a whole year of Blake games.
Yes.
hmm
We could do a
Right?
calendar of Blake.
Oh,
Um,
hmm
I like Andre Blake is the most beloved Philadelphia Union player on the roster right now. Bedoya
hmm
is up there, but it's Blake. Blake deserves a statue. Blake deserves a mural. He deserves his name retired.
Ring of Honor
He's
100%.
yeah,
yeah.
he's the he's the emotional leader of the team. He is everything we've ever wanted and more. And he made some key big saves last night that were just only he could make. Like,
You're right.
um, you know, and then what I love seeing is he's constantly talking to the back line. He talks to the back line. He gets them in
hmm
shape and organized. He is so much more than just a shot stopper. Um, he needs to be celebrated in every way possible. Like I can't like they're probably gonna bring him out on the field to give him a jersey that says like 300
hmm
next game, and I can't wait. I'm gonna be screaming my head off. I'm gonna be clapping, and I'm so excited for that moment because he he's everything. He's everything in this club. Um,
I
so
mean, he doesn't get injured. Again, we'll go back. That's
yeah,
8 points. There's 8 points
hmm
last year. They're in the playoffs.
And that's the key. If
Yeah. And now
he can stay
that's not
healthy.
taken away from Rick. I think Rick is a
yeah,
good
Rick's a
player. He's young.
hmm
He's Andre Blake when he got drafted. And
hopefully
just
yeah.
talking to Ryan Richter on Thursday, you got Cello, you got Gavin Atkinson. There's a good pipeline of
hmm
goalkeepers coming up. So I think people are saying, well, once Blake goes, there's never going to be another Andre Blake. That's true. There'll never be another
Yeah.
Andre Blake.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying there's other goalkeepers that have potential
Oh, for
to
sure.
come up.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and I
he
think
won't play forever because, he
we're
can't.
He's
human.
34,
We're
Yeah.
human.
Yeah.
He's got a
No.
couple of years left.
I mean, Brad Guzan's 40. He's still,
I
but
mean,
But he's a shell.
but yeah,
he's a shell of himself, but he
he
still
still
can
had some good
he
stuff
can
last
still
season.
turn
Yeah.
back
Yeah.
times in big games.
Or he falls over on his back and looks like a turtle. Either
Yeah,
way.
and
Yeah, either or.
also Loris, he can look like Hugo Loris with the France team. I mean, goalkeepers can go forever. I mean,
Yeah.
there's goalkeepers in Europe that are like 50 years old still playing in the third division. I'm like, salute you, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, but what I'm saying is, like, at the end of the day, if you're a good goalkeeper, you're going to be able to be there for the end. And I think Andre wants to be in Philly.
Yeah.
I mean, I would hate to see like a 37-year-old Andre Blake at like a bottom feeder club in MLS or
If
go
I
to
ever saw him in
USL
another uniform,
or
I'd
go to
probably throw it.
USL and
I
just
can't do it.
yeah, I can't do that
No.
either. Like, I think the
Mem
club just needs to the best case scenario with Andre, let him do with Matt Freeze and that he could have done with Matt Freeze. Now, Andre was in his prime during that time.
yeah.
Matt Freeze, but like let him be like you know,
Andre is the Union's Brandon Graham.
yes, and
Yeah.
just bring up those next keepers and teach him that. And then when his time's done, he becomes the backup to them, but still giving them like if they're injured or they're in national duty, he steps in, has his moments. I think pride might
He'll
play
play
part.
cup.
Yeah, like pride might play into it, but I don't think I don't think he's a prideful person. I think he just enjoys soccer.
Hmm.
And I think we're in a good spot with Andre. But anyway, let's move on. Talk about Saturday.
Yeah.
Union back home, first time. Last time, the club they face, Pat Noonan, Chris
Yeah.
Albright, our favorite
FC
friends,
Cincinnati.
our frenemies from Cincinnati. Now, having said that, Vander's there, Denke. This team's loaded. They're one of my top three
They're definitely
prediction.
better than Orlando.
Yes,
Yes.
they're going to be a problem even with a CCC game this week.
Yeah. I'm
They're
What
ex
do
deep
we
enough to
want to
where it
see from
doesn't.
this game? What do we want
yeah.
to see from because I have it as draw. I'll take a
Well,
point at home and move on. And I know we
yeah.
don't like points, 1 point at home. I'll take a draw.
Well, I'm interested to see how much the fans at Subaru Park bring it because they need to get back to making it a fortress, making it a place where teams are intimidated to play there because that was not the case last season. And,
I don't think that's the case though.
I'm just saying like, yeah, I'll be interested to see how the Union do at home this season.
I don't think it's going to be Fortress on Saturday. I think if the Union can pull off a good 2, 3 months, the city loves a winner. They'll come
Yeah.
back. But I think for those listening, they're like, maybe no, you need to get there. Like that was an impressive performance last night.
Yeah, it was really gutsy and that's the kind of team you want to root for.
Yeah.
And, I
So
do
maybe
hope
I'm
people show
wrong.
up.
I hope I'm wrong.
I mean, it was a good way to start out to get people. I saw a lot of people on social media like, "Oh, we're back. We back."
No.
And but then there's some people who are like, but like honestly, it definitely got people excited, being like, "Okay, all right, let's see what we got here." So they're riding that high at least. So that certainly makes it more exciting for Saturday for sure. Now, if they go and lay an egg,
100%.
well then. But, it's not a winning streak yet or anything, but it definitely was a good start. So if they can, man, if they win at home against FC Cincinnati, that would go a long way to get people believing here like, okay, now we're starting to string together some wins.
This is a massive test for us because I
Hmm.
mean it is early on in the season, but we're going up against what some people are predicting to win MLS Cup or a Supporters Shield. It's a big deal. I think what snow is in the forecast, a little bit of snow.
I saw it was supposed to be around 50 degrees.
I think
Ah,
I'm looking at this. Pat, do you follow MLS images that preceded an unfortunate event?
Yeah, I saw that. That's
yeah.
funny.
Yeah, it was like goal Orlando City up 1-0. Back to work. Second half starts now. I'm sorry.
But it was funny because
I saw that.
I was saying to kind of like they showed after Orlando scored the win probability for the Union was like
70,
7%.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I'm like, ooh.
Woo!
Yeah. But anyway,
Anyway,
Those percents mean nothing.
exactly.
no, and that's the thing. Look, again, I'll say this all year until it does not become truth. The Union will be a 7 to 9 seed, and I think they can shock MLS like Red Bulls did last year. I
Mhm.
think there's going to be some growing pains. There's going to be some podcasts that you and I are like, what are we doing? Pat, you're probably going to be like, what are the Union doing?
Yeah, that's about right.
Hmm.
I think this is going to be a team at times that be like, we can shock the world. And at times we're like, oh gosh, what's going on? And that's fair. I mean, that's any soccer, that's any sports team in the city. But anyway,
I do think we win Saturday.
all right,
I don't know, they Cincinnati is getting it together, and they will be a very good team.
right.
They do have a Champions League game. They didn't look great against, like from the highlights I saw, I didn't watch the game, but they didn't look great against Red Bull, and that was at home. I think if we could, they won, but like we could beat them. I think Baribo, and if Ura continues to be like an opportunist with the high press, I think you got two goals, one Baribo, one Ura, and then you're gonna have Bruno come on and he's gonna score a goal because it's his debut, and we're gonna have three goals and we'll give up two.
We'll see what um Bruno's whole situation is because I feel like this is going to be another UWA situation with the visa. Like we're waiting for that.
Really.
I'm hoping we're not because they were talking about that at the last presser.
Yep.
Uh,
And
and he's like, it's going to take a while. And I'm like, oh, are we going back to this? And now I'm not saying that because I do think like they did their homework on this.
yeah.
And so
They spent
I,
a lot of money.
yeah,
they
they
did. I mean, it's
Well,
high
for them,
fees.
yeah.
yeah, for
Yeah.
them.
But still, I love that sign. I love
Yeah.
the Indiana
Yeah, and that's the other bit of
Yeah.
news we want to
Vassilev.
cover.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's talk about
Indiana
that.
Vassilev or Indy
Performance
as
health.
he's called. Yeah, so that news came this week and the Union got him from St. Louis City. So he's Bradley's boy, you
One
know.
1 million. I mean, the
No,
guy
that's not
has.
nothing.
Yeah, I know it's not, and I don't know if you listen to some of Indy's pressers after Bradley was fired.
Yeah.
He was very much like this is a leader. This is a guy that Bradley's bringing in when things get tough to be the voice in the locker room.
Yeah.
And you kind of need that. You kind of need that with an aging Bedoya. You also kind of, he's like your toolbox. He's
Yeah.
that, again, Yvonne, Danley, even Quinn, they're all like Swiss Army knives in that midfield. You now have flexibility, even with
Yeah.
Bueno. And I like that
Yeah, no, definitely options. And
because of
yeah.
duties and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
And I'm in a group chat that, there's a bunch of St. Louis City fans in, and they're saying you guys got a good one. They were like sad that he was moving on. So, I mean, sounds like he was pretty popular with them. So, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. I'm super excited to see him because I do think he gets minutes. Like there's everyone's saying like he's gonna be our first option off the bench or spot start. Like this like real competition now to light a fire underneath players.
And that's
Um
all you need.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
all you need. So, Pat, thank you again for coming
yeah,
on. This has been a great episode. We try to keep it to an hour every
yeah,
time.
yeah. Thanks so much for having me.
Mostly we go well over. We're not doing Dave Lowe 2.5 hours, but
It wasn't 2.5 hours.
it was
But we
over.
could easily talk that long with Dave, which, by
Yeah,
the way, if you guys haven't all heard Dave Leno's calls, you know, they're always great to listen to. Shout out Dave.
But
So
but anyway, Pat, where can people find you at?
Oh man, I'm on Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram. It's all Pat in the Hat, some variation. I don't know. Yeah, that and like around PPL or no, Subaru Stadium.
Yeah, no. Again, thank you so much for coming
Yeah.
on. It's been a wonderful conversation. So for us, we'll be back again this week, in some iteration, either a preview. We got a YouTube article coming out probably tomorrow, maybe Thursday. This episode will be out if you're listening Sunday, will be out tomorrow.
Woo.
And then we'll have a preview match as well. So, anyway, this has been a one episode of the One Team We Agree On.
yeah, make sure to like and subscribe, follow us on our various socials, and let us know what you think. We love hearing from you, so leave us some comments. And don't forget on our website, the you can actually subscribe to that. So whenever we post articles, they can come directly to your inbox.
Yes, please subscribe.
We've had a lot of content out lately.
Yeah, and actually, we've had a lot of content growth. So, again, if you haven't subscribed yet to our website, please do. And until next time, I'm Kyle,
I'm Jillian.
and we'll see you at the game.